This African president is not human. This statement has been said by many African seers. Seers are people with supernatural insight who sees visions of the future. The president has power which is beyond human nature. And that's why in this video we must expose him. When you mention the word or search the word politics on social media platforms in recent days, the first name that will appear is William Ruto. President William Ruto is arguably the most discussed politician in Africa, especially due to matters of ditching the US dollar. In fact, for only 5 months, the president's name has been spreading like wildfire all over the world. Unlike other presidents who have served for the longest time, William Ruto has been considered as an inhuman president with the things he is doing. The president has even been given many names, like the new Gaddafi of Africa. Let me say that if working hard was a person, then that person could possibly be William Ruto. The president has traveled to over 30 countries for a few months. The president is working non-stop to ensure that his name stands high. The president not only he is fighting for his country, but he is also fighting for black people in general. Ruto is one of the most brilliant political leaders of our time. He has shown dignified restraint and set control in several catch situations. You might be asking yourselves, why are they calling a hard-working president inhuman? What has he done this time? It's not a long story. Please let me explain. Welcome back to Teens Republic, the life-to-life educative channel. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel. We promise you will have the best videos for you to watch and learn. In his appearances in regional conferences, President Ruto is emerging as a fierce critic of how the West has unfairly treated the continent, including loading its leaders in buses like school children. Dr. Ruto has also called out global financial institutions for classifying African countries as high-risk borrowers, thereby charging them higher interest rates compared to developed nations that get cheap loans from the same lenders. Ruto is portrayed as a leader who wants to unify the continent and guide the nations in dealing with the excesses of their Western counterparts. In an analysis of his statements since taking office last year, Dr. Ruto has urged his fellow political figures to resolve currency imbalances, which he regarded as a significant barrier to intra-African commerce. President Ruto has expressed legitimate and profound concerns about how Africa is treated by the West, according to Professor Gilbert Kardayagala, a professor of international relations at the University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa, but he also noted that advocating for Pan-African causes is expensive and futile exercise. Professor Kardayagala claims that President Ruto may not have the necessary time, energy, or resources to persuade 54 African nations to adopt common stances. According to him, Ruto's statements at the regional summits sound like the previous maximalist Pan-Africanists like Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah and Libya's Gaddafi, who proposed a United States of Africa with one government, military, and currency to reverse Africa's asymmetrical position in the international system. President Ruto made a passionate case for Africa on May 17 when speaking at the Pan-African Parliament Summit in South Africa. His speech, which was met with a standing ovation from the assembled leaders, protested against the continent's mistreatment. Dr. Ruto discussed in his lecture how certain international gatherings now only include the attendance of African presidents for a quick photo. We want to accomplish something, not just take pictures, eat supper, and go home. We have food in our countries, good people. Dr. Ruto objected, even though we are invited to those summits, we are given little time, then lined up, all 50 of us, for photos. And unfortunately that is the only thing we take home. According to analysts, Dr. Ruto has the ability to step into the shoes of late South African President Nelson Mandela, provided he manages to play his cards wisely without alienating important figures on the international stage. Mr. Mandela received a lot of praise for his efforts to promote peace. President Ruto, according to history and international relations professor Macharia Muneen, is aggressively seeking significance and to position himself as the voice of Africa. Drive. Ruto complained that he and his counterparts from other African nations are sometimes treated like school children during the Mo Ibrahim Governance Weekend Conference on April 29 at the Kenya International Convention Center, KICC. citing an incident in September of last year when African heads of state were transported in a bus to Buckingham Palace in the United Kingdom, for the funeral service of the late Queen Elizabeth II. The UK government had provided the bus. However, leaders from industrialized nations, including US President Joe Biden, tended to drive their official automobiles. Let me conclude by saying this. President William Ruto has achieved so many this so far which could take centuries for other presidents to achieve. In less than 6 months doing all that need a lot of commitment. I don't know what you think about this video, let me know what you have in mind in the comment section below. If you learned something, like this video and subscribe so that you can't miss videos like this in the future. Also, don't forget to watch these other videos. I'm sure you will like them. And remember, successful people look like you because you're ready to learn. Thank you. Subscribe.